Before I start, I want to tell you that this picture will be colored toward the end of the video, and I will also be offering a color chart to go with the pencils that I'm reviewing, and at the end of the video, I'll be telling you how to get this image. Hi, it's Dia. Today I'm going to be reviewing Castle Art Supplies. These are 120 Premier colored pencils. They come in a lovely, pretty solid tin. They're packaged very nicely. There's a card that says how to enter their club. There's the styrofoam, and that little handle on the edge, rather than the little grippy indentations, made such a difference to be able to remove those colored pencils from the box. The colors look lovely. They're sharpened to that flat sort of point, so I went in and sharpened all 120 using my favorite Panasonic electric sharpener and also this Mitsubishi KH20 hand cranked sharpener. The first thing I did was do the tomato test. The pictures from Coloring Dreams, which is one of my coloring books, and I almost forgot. I will be coloring that owl picture later on from the Buns Artist Edition. The tomato test is something I've started to do. I've used everything from crayons, which you can see on the tomato right below the tomato I'm coloring, all the way to Prismacolors and Arteza, and I just like to see how they compare and how the tomato looks. So as always, I start with a basic yellow, and first blush on these pencils. They are smooth, they are soft, and the pencil does say soft series on them. Each of the pencils has an end cap with a relatively accurate color. I did make a color chart because a couple of the colors were slightly off, but not even enough to mention they were all relatively close. I would say the lead. You know what? Before I guess, I'm going to take out a Prismacolor. Okay, the barrel is thicker than a Prismacolor and the lead is thicker than a Prismacolor. The barrel itself feels really nice in your hand. It's round and it feels very sturdy. I can't explain it. They're heavier than Prismacolor pencils, so that actually adds a nice balance to the feel of them when you're coloring. Now, at this point in the picture, I've used several colors. I've used 2 or 3 different yellows. I've used a green because I thought I would make this tomato a little bit more underripe than the rest of them because they don't all grow evenly on the vine. I used that green color and then went over it with a darker green here, and surprisingly that green, that darker green, went over just as smooth and silky as the rest. There's probably 4, 5, 6 layers here, and I'm at this point having no problem. Also, I want to tell you that these pencils are wax based, and I know I've mentioned this before. Everyone's afraid of wax bloom, but every pencil can have a bloom if you put enough layers. I'm using the white pencil here to blend, and I have to say they blend really, really well. I went over the top after I used the white because I like it to look a little bit more vibrant. The white does mute it a little bit. And yes, I have other colorless blenders, but I wanted to only exclusively use what was in that box. I'm going in with some more darker reds, and I have to say I like the way they feel so much. I was very surprised. This is a set of 120 pencils that Castle Art was nice enough to send me to review, but I'm astounded at the price. They're under $40 for 120 pencils. There's another set which is 72 on Amazon. I'll put all these links below, and they're $29. And that one seems a little more popular, probably only because the price is so reasonable. It's one of those things you can't pass up. I used a little eraser. Actually, that's the Brunzil eraser, and I just added a little bit of highlight. I totally gave that set for the tomato test a thumbs up. It came out vibrant. It came out really nice. Now I hopped over to the artist's edition of the buns, which is on much thicker, um, better paper. The other picture I just colored was from a Create Space book, which people have a love-hate relationship with. I had no problem at all with the Create Space book with those pencils. So what I'm doing here is just trying to see how the pencils work beyond the tomato test. Um, I'm taking several layers here on purpose because I want the beak to look dimensional. Of course, the center I'll leave lighter, the sides I'll make darker. When you do that kind of thing, when it's darker on the edges and lighter in the center, it sort of lends itself to a cylindrical feel. So the middle part will be more prominent and look like it's standing out more because lighter colors make things appear more in the forefront, and darker colors put things in the shadows or recess them. Now I'm leaving this in real time because I want you to see how the pencils work in real time also. They have a very, like I said before, a very soft feel to them. And all, basically all of them except for one color, a very light green, felt soft, buttery, creamy, easy to blend. And the light green, which is number 61, I haven't designated a name to it yet, which I will do for that entire chart. I think I'm going to name all the pencils with medieval and castle-ish royalty names. I haven't done that quite yet. So now, here's an important thing. I used the white before. Now I wanted to choose a picture where I would have to use blacks and grays because I think they're pretty important in a colored pencil set because the black will, um, of course, create depth, create shadow, and the darker, in my opinion, the better. And I have to say, this black is black. It's it's super deep. It's matte, and as I'm coloring right here, you can see this is one, I don't know what you would call it with a colored pencil, coat, one layer, I guess, and it's already pitch black. So I would definitely give the black pencil in the set a thumbs up. Um, there's not a lot of fallout, and as you can see, I'm pushing pretty hard here, and the point is staying very well. And that's an interesting thing too. The laydown is, like I said before, super creamy, and yet the points stay. So whether that's because they're a wax base, I think that wax based pencils do lend themselves to a creamier feel. And I think I was afraid of wax based pencils when I first started using them in general because everybody always talked about wax bloom and how terrible it was. And I've used several sets, including um, Prismacolor, Brunzil, and now these, which are just incredibly nice. And I overuse that word, but to supplement nice, they're incredibly soft. They're creamy without being gooey. There are a couple of pencils out there that they're almost too soft. They don't hold a point, and that makes them not on my favorite list. As for the colors, I'm actually pretty impressed there too. I always think that there's sometimes too many of one thing and not enough of another thing. I always feel like there's not enough red or pink. Um, and there's some like rose lilac-y colors that are just missing completely from sets, and that's a color that you can't combine. Well, this set has plenty of reds. They're beautiful. The oranges are red. There's a range of skin tone from super light to super dark. And I'm not going to, when I name them anything that has to do with flesh or skin because the variety is so big. Almost the whole set can be used as skin color. I'm kidding. But there's many colors in here that are perfect. And there are colors that without being shiny, are golden and sort of a mossy green. There's a dark greenish, grayish black that almost seems like Payne's gray to me, which I was so happy to see. There's neutrals in the gray range, there's cools, and there's warms in the gray range. The other thing that I love about this set is the blues and the greens. They're spectacular, and I really loved using them. At the end of this, you'll see that I was almost finished, and then I decided to put one of those, well, it's a mixture of two blues toward the end because they're so nice and they're so deep, and some of them are inky and just gorgeous. Some colors that you wouldn't really see in others. Oh, and there's several shades of what I would call not even maroon, but like wine and merlot kind of shades. They're gorgeous. So as you can see, I really, really like this set, and I had a really good time coloring this. The the feel is basically the same, like I said, for all the pencils. The quality is the same through all the colors, except for that one shade of light green, and I think that I'll have to use that in a color, I'm sorry, in a picture even more. You know what? Now that I'm thinking of it, I did use it in the tomato, and it was much smoother than it was when I used it for the swatch, and I'm wondering maybe I just had to sort of get rid of that first square tip because I made the swatches with the square tip before I sharpened them. So if I pushed very hard, I didn't have to resharpen it after I made the dark part of the swatch. Now for the eye here, I went in with many colors. I started with a light yellow, and then I went over with a kind of an odd orangey glowy color. It's number 75. I might end up naming it marigold, and you can see that there's like a little starburst effect coming through, and then around the perimeter I used 112 for the eye, and I realized that owl eyes aren't usually green and they usually don't have eyelashes, but I added both to mine because I wanted to. And I think that you should do that too. Just do whatever you feel because it's coloring. And on that topic, another thing I realized as I was using these pencils, I feel like I have more freedom to have fun when I use less expensive pencils, and I don't know what that's all about. I kind of do the same thing when I buy a very fancy notebook or sketchbook. I'm afraid of it almost, and I'm afraid I'm going to ruin it. So, oh, I'm just adding some black and some texture and details into the eye and adding more shadow. That black is fantastic, as you can see. I'm adding more of the gray. That's one of the lightest grays in the set, and I did end up going over that gray with a darker, so there would be a little bit of a feathery, textury feel. And a little bit later, I'll show you how I leave the white. Oh, I'm actually going near it right now. There's that little area right by the eye that I wanted to leave white. And these pencils were very easy to use for me. They're a texture that isn't too soft and it's not too hard either. So for me, this was perfect. I didn't have to worry about the points breaking, and I didn't have to worry about pushing so hard to get any color out because they're super pigmented. So I personally loved using this set. That's a darker gray. There's a very big variety of grays um, and skin tones, like I said before. So the palette is extensive and enough for, I would say, almost anything you could ever think to color. I'm not sure how I haven't heard of these pencils before this because I think for the price they're amazing and I would definitely highly recommend them. Um, and I'm trying to think if there's any kind of disclaimer. I think I sort of covered it before when I said I have a medium touch when I use colored pencils, so not too hard, not too soft. Oh, now I'm going over here with the green again. On those eyes, I probably used 6 or 7 layers, and they accepted more and more layers without a problem. And later on, I ended up going over it with white to blend, and then went over again, and still the colors were bright and vibrant and lovely. So as you can see ahead of time, of course, I'm giving this set a huge thumbs up. And back to what I was saying before for a couple seconds, I think when the set is less expensive, we have less expectations, first of all. We're worried less about ruining the pencils because they cost $250 or uh, more or less. Pencils can be a lot of money. Coloring supplies can be a lot of money, art supplies in general. Some people think of as frivolous, and I mean, I personally don't, but it is not a necessity in life. So it's really nice when you can find a set that is so nice for such a great price. Another thing, these pencils never got to the point where it felt like I couldn't put more layers down. You know, when it gets to be like that almost glassy, glossy thing and nothing's going over it, possibly not even a Posca white pen or a Signo gel. It's just so waxy, glossy. This never happened with this set. The tin has a color chart on the back, but I've seen a couple others do that too. I don't personally use that. I usually either make my own chart or kind of wing it. But if they don't have a name, or if the pencils don't have names, I like to name them. And that's what I'm going to do here. I listed um, all the pencils, all the pencil colors. I put the numbers next to them, and I am going to put the name. I also put a little image that you can color on the actual color chart. And you can get all of this in the link below. It's all in my coloring gallery on Facebook. So click the link underneath this video and it will all be available. I hope you like it. I guess I have bunnies on my mind for Easter, and I thought it would just be fun to have something that you can color right on the chart. I hope you like it. Let me know. So, as you can tell, I very much like this set. I think it's very impressive no matter what the price. I think the pencils are well made. I think they sharpened, not one broke when I sharpened, and and I'm I'm not exactly a soft touch with everything, but not one broke, neither with the Mitsubishi or with the Panasonic. They were all perfect. Um, yeah, so I would definitely recommend this set, whether you're a starter in coloring, in colored pencil drawing. Oh, the last thing, I couldn't find any information on light fastness, so whether they didn't do that yet, or I just couldn't find it, I don't have any information on that. Oh, this I'm just quickly putting one of the nice blues next to the eye for some contrast. Um, I went over the first layer with white and it blended really nice. And then I took, what did I take? Turpenoid, odorless turpenoid, and I went over with a brush and just blended everything in, and it even made um, it seem more vibrant. So that's about it for now. As you know, I give this set a happy thumbs up. I would totally recommend it. Like I said, I used the 120 set, and you can color everything from soup to nuts with this, from owls to tomatoes. So once again, I am grateful that you're all here. I appreciate you all so much. And I hope if you like this video, you'll give me a thumbs up or possibly share it with someone who you think might like it too. And I thank everyone who subscribed to me, and maybe you can subscribe to me in the future. And if you do, hit that little bell because that lets you know about all my video releases and my giveaways so you won't miss a thing. So that's it. Like I said, look for the color chart below. Look for all the links to all the items that I mentioned, and when you go to my Facebook coloring gallery, you'll be able to download that coloring chart with that bunny image. So I hope you liked it. Thank you all so much. Have a great week. Bye bye.